Welcome to this week's Techie Tip. With all the conversation about hacking and WikiLeaks in the news lately, I thought this would be a perfect time to just review some of the things that you should do to protect your email. So the first thing is to just be aware of what you're opening and who sent it to you. If you're not sure, delete the email. Definitely don't open it. If you recognize the name, but you think the email looks suspicious, still delete the email. And on a separate email message, you can always ask that person if they were trying to contact you. And that way you have a clean discussion with your email. Another very important thing is have this email asked you for your password. No one ever asks you for your password unless it's a specific conversation taking place for a specific request. But then you'd be aware of that because you know of the communication. Do they want you to verify credentials? No one. A bank, an email account, no one will ask you to verify credentials. That's basically a first sign of knowing that you have a bad email. Do they want you to click on an attachment? Know for sure that if you don't recognize the email, they've asked for your credentials or your password, and they still want you to click on an attachment, most likely they are phishing. And we're going to talk about phishing and malware in the next link. Malware is often a disguised application that gets installed when you open an attachment, for example, or click on a link that's not recognized or appropriate. Once malware is in your system, they'll use that to research your computer. They may use that to send a virus. They may do all kinds of nasty things to your email account to gather information. Phishing, although very similar to malware, is a little bit different in the sense that they're looking for information about your personal accounts. They're looking for passwords. They're trying to find and record all of the email contacts you have in your current email account. So malware and phishing are both commonly used tactics for hackers to gain information about your email account, your computer, or anything else that they may like to learn in order to further their unscrupulous attempt to steal information. Once you've seen something like this, there are some steps that you can do to protect your email. So if you think you've been hacked, the first thing that you might want to do is check the details of your email account. You may also want to change your password. This is the most recommended step. You want to check your reply address. And finally, you want to clear any filters. So what we're going to do next is actually take a look at doing these very items if you think you've been hacked. With your email account open, the first thing that you want to take a look at is a little icon in the bottom right corner of your email account. If you have a lot of emails in there, you may have to scroll down to see the bottom. But as you can see right here, we have a little link called Details. When I click on that link, it brings up a box that tells me exactly where I have logged in. It tells me the browser that I've used to log in, what country, the date that this all occurred. But most importantly, if your account has been hacked, you'll most likely see something like a country in Africa or something that is very unusual, as you may not be in Oregon or New Hampshire or for that matter, any place in Europe or out of the country. So if you've seen something like that in your account, you definitely want to take the next steps that I'm going to show you. So let's close this. And let's take a look at our settings, because at this point, what we want to do is change our password, check our reply address, and clear any filters. So at this point, you would go to your settings, which is the little sprocket-like icon in your account settings, usually underneath your name or your block to choose different Google apps. So in the settings drop-down, select that, and it immediately brings you to a whole series of choices and settings related to your email account. What we want to look at is the Accounts button. So let's click on that, and notice a couple of things here. You can change your account settings. This is where we're going to check our reply address, and you can give access to your account to others and so forth. But our focus is really changing our email password. So if we click on Google Account Settings, it's going to bring us to this screen. And when you look at it the very first time, it is kind of busy, and it does kind of confuse you. Where do you take a look? I've discovered the easiest way to do that is to go to my account preferences. In my account preferences, they give me some options for security and privacy. I'm going to click on Signing into Google. When I click on that, it's going to bring me up a box that asks me to change my password, or tells me when was the last time I changed my password. So if I click on Password, it's going to ask me to log in. And I entered my password. I'm going to click Sign In. And at this moment, it asks me to enter a new password. And this is kind of important. You don't want your password to be very easy. You don't want it to be your son or daughter's first name, your husband's first name, your wedding date, your dog's name. You really want to be creative and add some uppercase letters, some unique characters such as an exclamation point or an ampersand. And you really want to make sure that it's a strong password. Once you've entered that new password, you simply click Change Password, and then it'll ask you to log back in again. Let's return to our settings by just closing this box and take a look at the next item we need to look at. And that's our Send Mail As. Oftentimes I get emails from people saying, wait, my name isn't, Merry Christmas. My name is so forth, and it's coming up differently in my reply address. Notice I can double check to see what is it that I'm using as my Send Mail As, and as you can see, Nauset Educators is the account. But if I wanted to edit that and change it to something else, such as Nauset Public Schools, I could certainly enter that information and click Save Changes, and my reply to name would be different. If you notice a different name in here, you again have definitely been hacked, because you know what your reply to address should be. The last item that we're going to take a look at are filters and blocked addresses. For the most part, most of us really don't take advantage of this feature. And if you look at this and you see that you have a lot of filters that you don't even remember setting up, it's a very, very good idea to select all of them and then delete those filters. The reason I mention this is because a lot of times folks say to me, all of my emails going into my trash. And with that being said, I automatically know that filters have been set up in your account without you knowing about those filters being set up. So these are some pretty good tips to protecting your email and making sure that if you think you have been hacked, you have the power and you have the control to make some changes that will protect your email. One final note before we complete this techie tip is I do want to remind folks that our students belong to the Nauset Schools domain. So when you're sending an email, it might be good to just do a double check that you're not actually entering in a student's email address by mistake. So that completes our techie tip of the week. I hope you find this helpful. And next week, we will return to Google Slides. Thank you.